man, we're back again. We're episode 5 now. I was a little confused on the last one. This is the MCM podcast. We're coming here to talk to you about some of the stuff in entertainment news, a little bit of video games, stuff like that. But I'm joined, as always, by the real deal.
Howdy ho, neighbors.
Yep. And we're coming at you, like I said, episode 5. It's been a crazy week, a lot of Batman stuff. We didn't record on the weekend like normal, but that kind of worked out because now we can talk about like a whole lot of Batman stuff. And if not, it'll just give us some time, or give me some time to try and get that Robin Hood thing just edited together and put it out on the website. That'll probably be audio only because I can't figure out how in the blue hell to get around WB's copyright strikes on YouTube. So it'll be on mcmdebates.com audio format once I figure that out. But anyways, what have you been up to, Dill?
Well, I finished my training. I've validated on 2 sets of equipment. I started the dragged across concrete. I had to stop an hour into it so I could take my sister softball practice. Pretty good so far. My favorite quote has to be Mel Gibson saying, "Did you understand her?" Him and Vince Vaughn are 2 cops, and like they get this, and he turns to Vince Vaughn and goes,
"So this is a Vince Vaughn and Mel Gibson movie?"
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was when you said the drag across concrete. I thought maybe it was a workout routine.
Oh no.
No, I was like, what? And then you started talking about Mel Gibson. And I'm sitting here going, "Is where is he going with this?" Oh, this is a movie. How old is this movie?
2 years.
Okay. All right.
It's the same guy who did Brawl and Cell Block 99.
Oh, okay. I got you. I've assumed you finished your single punch dude.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I finished One Punch Man.
Yep. So you're
very, very disappointed that we didn't get to the monsters. We didn't get to their base yet.
Yeah, that like the first one, it kind of comes to a satisfying arc. And the second one, it's like, ha, gotcha, bitch.
Like stops halfway through it.
Yeah, you only get to see really One Punch Man do a couple great things, and you're wanting this moment to come, and it never comes. Up to anything else?
Not right now. I'm starting to work out some more.
Yeah, like I said, I've been doing mine a little bit more, doing some yard work, which is always getting out and sweating your ass off, especially the weather right now. It's just thunderstorms and 90-degree weather, so it's real humid. I haven't been watching too much of anything. I've been playing Destiny 2, and I just got The Last of Us 2, which is a very controversial game right now. And after playing it, I don't really see what all the fuss is about. To me, it's a bunch of nothing made by internet trolls. But I haven't played the whole thing yet. I'm still going through it. It's pretty good so far. I don't think the story is as solid as the last one, but it's not a bad game. And of course, Destiny 2 is real fun. If you're into like first-person shooters and Star Wars-inspired lore, you'll probably enjoy that. So I thought that's a good one. That's really what I've been up to. Musashi's kind of on a hold right now because I've just been trying to get to bed a little bit earlier and just taking care of some stuff. So
wow, but you've got like 40 more episodes left, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I got to savor it. I got to keep it going, you know. So that's really all we've been up to. The only thing this is really news is something I just wanted to bring up. It's Joel Schumacher, who, as you know, made Batman Forever with Val Kilmer, Batman and Robin, of course, with Clooney. He made St. Elmo's Fire, which is a classic 80s movie. The Lost Boys, which is one of my favorite movies ever. The Client. Passed away Monday morning from cancer complications, which is always sad to hear when you make it that old.
Yeah.
You know, he could have kept on going. But is there anything like you want to bring up that I didn't mention? Maybe some of your favorites?
Yeah, I got I would say A Time to Kill and Phone Booth are my favorite films from him.
The Phone Booth, is that the one with Ryan Reynolds in a booth?
It's Colin Firth.
Yeah, that's right. Colin Firth. He's stuck in a phone booth.
Kiefer Sutherland's the bad guy in it.
Yeah, and he's like talking to him on the phone. Yeah, so that's something we just wanted to acknowledge that.
I would have been really interested in if he had done a Batman that was more in tow with Flatliners.
To me, that like the Lost Boys, that was like I like that, the atmosphere, the tone, the music,
right?
Everything in that. It was just so it captured that 80s feel. I mean, I wasn't even really alive. Barely alive in that era. But To me, like when someone says, name a classic avian movie, an 80s movie, I'm going to say The Lost Boys. Again, I'm your host, and I'm here with Real Deal, and this is the MCM podcast. So, as we start off the show, we're going to get to thoughts, questions, concerns, and ideas from the readers and audience, anyone who sent some stuff in, to mcmdebates.com, and there is a button right there at the top of the page. I made it easy for you guys. You don't have to scroll to the bottom anymore. Just click on that button, and you submit your thoughts, questions, concerns, and ideas. So some of the things we're going to talk about today is there's these Michael Keatons. It's going to be Bruce Wayne in the DCEU now. But what happened to Jeffrey Dean Morgan that was supposed to be in the Flashpoint thing? And then to keep it rolling right on to some Batman stuff, there's some Batman video game stuff that came out. Allegedly confirmed of what Rocksteady and WB Games is working on, but also is AT&T going to sell those divisions off? Is there not going to be any more Rocksteady and WB Games? Is that going away to EA and Activision? DC has signed some scripted podcast deals with Spotify and a little bit more. We'll get into that when we get on into the show. But let's just go ahead and start off with some of these questions we got. And the first one, can you guess who it is? It's NVB. And he wants to know about DC blockbusters. All right, Dill. Do you think WB will move away from making big budget blockbuster movies and make movies like Joker due to the pandemic or economic issues? Wonder Woman 1984 budget is listed as $175 million. Joker's budget is $55 to $70 million. What do you think?
Yeah, I believe last podcast we talked about studios potentially moving back towards that $50 million to $90 million mid-level budget. I think there's a high possibility coming up for the next probably two and a half years of filmmaking. So I'd say yes, NVB. I'd say not just in DC, Warner Brothers, but in overall most studio films.
Yeah, and the thing that to me is, as we get more and more into streaming, that means the big budget blockbuster is going to go away. Because you're not going to make $1 billion, $2 billion off an Avengers film if no one's going to if we're strictly streaming, if we're subscription services. And that was like this thing that Grace Randolph said. Oh, the reason they can spend all this money on the Snyder Cut is because look how much money Disney is spending on The Mandalorian. Well, Disney's not in debt like AT&T is. And they have all these franchises that are taken off. They didn't just buy. They bought those franchises years ago. AT&T's in a situation where they just bought these franchises. So there's going to have to be this balance, and there's going to have to be this accessibility. Because as we move closer into this, it's going to change the way that we look at things. It's going to change the way things are made, and my fear is going to change it to go towards monopolies. Because as we get on in this podcast, we'll talk about some of those issues. We'll talk some of those budget concerns. So yeah, it's going to have to change. I've heard people, like not personally, but in podcasts and reading articles and going into like CNBC, it's like Hollywood's spending too much money. There's something going on somewhere where it doesn't make sense. When you add the numbers up, it's still way more than it should be, even for big budget blockbusters. All right, Mario wants to know, Rotten Snyder Cut. Can you guys predict the score of the Snyder Cut? What do you think the reviews will say? We will take your predictions with a grain of salt.
27%.
27%?
No, I mean, honestly, I don't really care.
Yeah. I don't think it matters, and I think they're going to do, a lot of outlets are just going to do what they did with BVS, and just whatever the score was for the theater one, that's what the score is for this. Because
they did do that. They did just adopt it over.
Yeah, they'll adopt it over, especially for the ones that are kind of butthurt that this is happening. Because a lot of people are butthurt that this is happening. It's like the people that said it. But there's going to be, like, I think even though people give John Campea so much shit for him saying the Snyder Cut didn't exist, and when he said that, all he meant was it's not finished. but people they don't want to hear that. He just said it didn't exist. So, that being said, I think he's going to re-review it. I think some of these smaller outlets are going to be the ones that'll re-review it. It'll be the bigger outlets that won't. And I'll be interested to see if Rotten Tomatoes will actually make a Snyder Cut sectioned off in it, because the reason I want to see that is to see what the difference is from critical reviews for the theater version and I think they will, because they generally do streaming stuff. Next question's from Donald. Which Marvel project would you like to see Zack Snyder direct? Go ahead, Dill. We'll start one at a. He got two questions here. We'll start with the first one.
I mean, the obvious would be Thor, right? But I would say
Thor?
Howling Commandos, World War II. Have their squad out in World War II post Captain America leaving.
Okay. I was going to say X-Force.
X-Force?
Yeah. You got your Wolverine, you got your X-23, you got your Deadpool. You can even throw someone in like Ghost Rider. You know, that this is the elite team that does not give a fuck and will just go through anybody.
That'd be interesting, yeah.
That's who I'd like to see. It's something Wolverine related in a team. So there was I forget the name of it, but there was a comic that I bought the graphic novel when I was a kid. It was Wolverine, it was Punisher, and it was Ghost Rider. I want to think it's something like Deadly Addictions or something like that.
Yeah. Well, I want to say Zack Snyder was up for X-Men Origins and then backed out because they wouldn't let him do rated R, right?
Yeah. No, that if he did a Wolverine, Ghost Rider, Punisher, it would have to be rated R.
Yeah,
I don't see how you couldn't do that, especially after the success of Deadpool.
Yeah,
you know, it would have to be something like that. Yeah, that's maybe not X-Force, but just Wolverine and some of the other darker. I hate to use the word darker, but gritty characters like that from the MCU. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, next one is, which DC projects besides Superman would you like to see the Russo brothers direct? Go ahead, Dill.
Hold up. You go ahead and I'll come up with something after.
I don't even know. I'm sitting there trying to think of something besides Superman. Maybe a Green Lantern.
Maybe.
Dr. Fate, I think they would be pretty good at. Definitely not anything Justice League Dark related.
Let maybe him do the Booster Gold and Blue Beetle movie. There you go.
There you
that's
go.
What they can do.
Yeah, that's something they could probably handle. But as far as what I want them to do a DC project, I'm not sure, but they probably could.
Yeah.
All right, next question from NVB. DC movies in 2020. Any chance the Batman does not go back into production this year? Does Black Adam even start filming? What do you think, Dill?
Yeah, definitely there's a chance it won't go back. I don't think it's the more likely. I think by the fall they'll probably be trying to shoot again. They'll probably be following very strict regulations and stuff, but I bet we'll see them at least in some capacity shooting stuff this year.
Yeah.
Now, Black Adam might just full ahead postpone. But I think we'll see the Batman start to shoot again.
Yeah. Yeah, the Batman, they've been cleared. UK, they're filming in the UK, and the UK is like, just like he says, the Batman can resume in July if the studio approves. And the last thing I saw on that, I think it was from the United or something. It was some British publication that said that they're currently hiring people to increase the amount of like cleaners, people that can do.
I saw a bunch of stuff about hand sanitizers hand
Yeah.
sanitizer stations, like and
Hand
stuff like that.
sanitizer station, like nurses that
Yes.
can come in and wipe stuff down and check people every day. If you're in the medical industry, right now is a good time.
Hmm.
If you're like even a dropout nursing student, you could probably get a job like checking people's temperatures right now and stuff. But the filming has been delayed to August or September for Black Adam as of now. Who knows? Because things are backed up. And things are backed up on top of being things backed up. So
Yeah.
it moved back to September, but who's not saying that something that was supposed to start in July, that now Batman has taken up that time, so that's got to move back. So who knows?
NVB. What if this happens? It postpones another year before filming. Finally gets filmed. 2022. They're putting it together, and then like the studio watches it and hates it, and so they shelve it for 12 years.
It's got the Rock in it. It could be him eating nachos for 3 hours, and they'd still release that movie because people
Yeah, but
just
like
love the
it'll be
Rock.
releasing in 2023. Maybe The Rock finally became a pebble. He's not good enough anymore.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you never know. All right, so now we're going to get into the main topics for today. And the first topic for today is a rumor, a report, a scoop, if you will, that came out from one of our personal favorites, El Mayimbe, Humberto Gonzalez, who,
Mr. Fan Art.
Mr. Fan Art from Heroic Hollywood, but he wrote this for the Wrap, that Michael Keaton is going to come back and play Bruce Wayne in the Flash movie. So the idea behind this is it's going to be like the Flashpoint. It's going to be all the alternate universes and everything like that. That's the assumption. So, and Michael Keaton's not going to be playing like Batman. Like he's like a retired Batman. He's a mentor that's been through. He's been there. He's done that, and he's just trying to help out Barry Allen do whatever he's supposed to do. And there's a lot of conflicting reports
Yeah.
about whether or not that this is going to be an actual movie, or not actual movie, but an actual reoccurring role, or just a one-off.
Yeah.
Because Umberto, he's gotten some stuff right, but he's gotten a lot wrong, especially lately. So you have to take this with a grain of salt that he's going to be playing the Batman in the DCEU. So he's going to be. This is his report. He's pretty much going to be replacing any
But
Ben Affleck thing like
yeah.
that. There's that Daniel RPK, Daniel Richmond, who's also saying that hey, he's agreeing with that. It's Ben Affleck is out. Michael Keaton's replacing him as the DCU's Batman, co-star in Flashpoint. There's more reports saying that he's going to be a mentor figure, not a big one, like I just said, like Nick Fury. Let's compare it to Nick Fury. No more Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck's done. He's going to do his ADR for Justice League, and he's out. He's going to be in multiple DCEU films. This is not concrete. Just reading what people are saying. Batgirl is rumored to be the DCEU's younger Bat figure. So basically, there's not going to be a Batman. There's going to be a Batgirl now. I don't know.
Jenna Malone is finally gonna reprise her role.
Yep, there we go. From BVS, all those rumors. And Batman Returns are now canon. This is all assumptions based on the Flash is going to retcon everything and all this is going to come together. I don't know how
Hmm.
much I buy into all this because I don't know where the status of the DCEU universe is right now.
Yeah.
So, what's your take on this? Given all this information I just dumped out, what do you think about all of it?
Well, to add something else to it, the Jeffrey Dean Morgan side of it.
Yep.
Uh,
This was something that came out like a week or two ago before this.
yeah, supposedly he was supposed to be playing Flashpoint Batman, Thomas Wayne Batman. And then Umberto said that no, the Keaton version is overtaking that, so it's no longer he's no longer said that Jeffrey Dean Morgan, Thomas Wayne Batman has been out of the scripts for years. So like back in like 2017 when they were trying to get the Flash off the ground.
Yeah.
Essentially, he's saying that they dropped that back then.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm looking at it, and I don't know. I would prefer to have Jeffrey Dean Morgan and the Thomas Wayne Batman if that's the route we're taking. If we're actually doing Flashpoint, we're actually doing that. I would prefer that. Now, I don't know. They could win me over with Keaton's Batman and Batman Returns being part of the extended canon.
Mm-hmm.
But I just it's not. I don't know. It just makes me less interested. I'm really not interested in Flashpoint solo for Flash. That being the first movie we get with him. I don't know. I don't like.
Yeah.
I don't dig any of this actually.
I don't get why Flash has been around for so long, and the only interesting story they can think of is Flashpoint.
Yeah.
Like, seriously?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So I'm not sure. I'm still in the thing that I predicted that Nightmare was going to be Flashpoint. So that's still what I would like to see is the Nightmare.
Yeah. If I was going to see a Flashpoint movie, I would want it to be set in the Nightmare.
Just don't even try to do Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Don't even try to do the comic book. Just do the same kind of basic plot points along with what Zack Snyder said he wanted to do, and have it where Ben Affleck is Batman. He's leading a resistance against Superman. Whatever. All that stuff is going on. And the Flash, it's the same basic plot point that Flash has to go back in time and save everything. Just go off of what you already built. It's already there. You already built it. You already had teasers for it. So that's your Flashpoint film.
You even have costumes designed for it.
Yeah. And you don't have to, like Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck don't have to be in it that much because it's Flashpoint.
Yeah.
It's focused on the Flash. You could focus it around the Flash and Cyborg and how the Cyborg got to be broken up.
Right. I was going to say, bring back Ray Fisher.
Yeah. There you go. That's me.
I'd have been way more excited if they just outright said Ray Fisher is part of the Flash than Michael Keaton.
Yeah. Yeah, you could take out the whole, but I mean, you already got something there. You already had an idea there. To me, just go with the idea you already had. Just keep it going. If they're gonna make a Flashpoint film with Michael Keaton, that'd be cool. And I saw, I went on social media and I saw a lot of people were hyped about it, and they had all these crazy, wild ideas that, this is a different thing. There's gonna be a Batman with Ben Affleck on HBO Max, and that's the way it's going to go. Everyone's just taking this and trying to mold it into what they want it to be. But to me, it's just more throwing spaghetti at the wall, trying to see what sticks.
Yeah, I understand. So with the Thomas Wayne Batman, everybody likes the brutal shooting up, and they like the Martha as Joker. To me, the biggest thing to come out of that would be the letter. Thomas Wayne writes a letter and sends with Barry to his timeline.
Oh, yeah.
I would like if that's how it goes, that would be the main thing that I would be interested in.
If you're gonna do the Flashpoint, if you're gonna I'm with you. If you're gonna do the actual Flashpoint storyline where Superman's dried up in a cell, and Lois Lane is in that military role with her father.
Yeah,
Wonder Woman hate each other. Yeah, they're fighting in a war. Have Jeffrey Dean Morgan and I forget her name from The Walking Dead. Well, they're both from The Walking Dead. As the Joker. Just do it all the way, or don't do it at all. That's my philosophy. Either do it. If you're not going to go Nightmare, then do the Flashpoint. If you're not going to do the Flashpoint, what the fuck is this? That's all I've got to say about it. Either do it or don't do it. I don't understand what you're trying to do. You wanting to bring because you have no confidence in the actors that you have. That's, to me, that's what it screams, is they don't have any confidence.
I can see that. I can see that as like, hey, people love Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
People love the Burton Batman movies. Let's make the Burton Batman movies canon and bring back Michael Keaton. I can see that being the reasoning behind this.
Yeah.
Solely fan service, nostalgia, juicing,
Yeah, I don't understand why you would do that and let it that's what it has to be. It sounds like a bright idea fairy. Like they're in the conference room and they're like, what do we do about this? I know. Let's bring back the Batman that everybody that's a dad now likes. Like, why else? I don't understand. Like, I don't have any problem with Michael Keaton's Batman. I love those things as a kid. It inspired the Batman animated series, which is probably the greatest animated DC property there is. But I just don't understand.
You wouldn't have the Arkham games without the Burton Batman movies, right?
And also, to me, this is kind of you remember before when they were going to say Superman was going to play that role? Is like the guy that's in all the movies.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
So now it's going to be Keaton. So to me, a lot of this just seems like Umberto said something and then all this stuff started flying out of the whole Batgirl is the only unless they're going to have two universes where Pattinson, which it seems the way, where Pattinson's is the old standalone universe. I believe that.
Yeah.
I believe that. But if they want a Bat figure in the DCU and they're like, well, we can't have two Batman. What if we have a Batgirl? Kind of makes sense, but I don't know if they'll actually do that.
You and I kind of said this before we recorded, and we kind of like just skipped over it, but you kind of touched on it just then. This rumor to me feels like the old Batman versus Superman days, where just things were thrown against the wall. Mm-hmm. It's like when it comes down to it, this seems almost like a baseless rumor that everybody just picked up. Yeah,
there's a bigger threat than Doomsday.
There's a bigger threat than Doomsday. Yeah. It's actually there's Bizarro Superman.
Yeah, it's Bizarro.
You can tell like that's what Superman looks funky in that. That's Bizarro.
Yeah. All right, so we could probably talk about this for a long time, but I want to move on. Let's move on. Let's get. Whoa. What was that?
I think that was on my end. It's staticked out.
Okay.
I think it's good now.
All right. So I'll try to edit this. All right. So let's move on. Hold on. Let me make a note here. And we're at
right before number 2.
33:22 minutes. All right. Number 2. All right, so let's move on. Number 2. Next thing, AT&T looks to be selling off their WB or WB gaming division. So their Warner Brothers gaming division, they're looking to sell that off. And the reason they're doing that is they're looking to generate $4 billion with this sale. And this comes to us from CNBC.com. So this isn't a rumor. This isn't something. This is actual from an investor website.
Right.
Okay. So AT&T is looking to sell it, looking to make $4 billion, and they've got 3 publishers that are considering buying into this, or looking to buy into taking over that WB gaming divisions. And those are Electronic Arts, Activision / Blizzard, which is the same thing, and Take-Two. Take-Two, which is Rockstar Games, if you don't know that. People that made Gran Turismo and Red Dead Redemption. That's who Take-Two is. So if you want to know how AT&T owns Warner Brothers Gaming, you have to go down this rabbit hole. So under this new structure, since they took over, AT&T created a new division called Warner Media. So AT&T owns Warner Media. Warner Media owns Warner Brothers now. And Warner Brothers owns Warner Home Video, which owns Warner Brothers Home Interactive Entertainment. So you have to, and then we're not done yet.
Yeah.
So in this acquisition, Electronic Arts, Activision, Take-Two, if they buy this, here's what they're going to get. Under Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment, they're going to get Rocksteady, which made all the Arkham games that a lot of people love. They're going to get WB Montreal that made Arkham Origins. They're going to get the Lego Studios called TT Games that made all the Lego games. They're going to get NetherRealm Studios, which made Mortal Kombat and Injustice. They're going to get Monolith Productions that made all those Lord of the Ring games. I never played them, so I don't know which ones they are.
Shadow of Mordor was pretty good.
Yeah, Shadow of Mordor, that's one of the ones they made. So the IPs that I'm not sure if they're going to go along with it, but here's the IPs under those divisions. Mortal Kombat Fear, which is like this horror first-person shooter. And then DC, all the DC stuff in Lego.
Right.
That's everything, but I think they had access to that because they were owned by WB. So why, if AT&T is looking to erase debt, why would they be trying to sell some popular video game divisions that made some really good video games? Okay, as we said at the top of the show, they're in debt. They're in debt $165 billion. So they have to justify to investors of what they're trying to do to erase that debt. And we know that they're all in on HBO Max.
Yeah.
The Snyder Cut, HBO Max. You go on social media, they're pushing it. Hey, look, we got friends. We got this. Every time someone tweets something that are about DC, they're all about it. Hey, look, Doom Patrol Season 2 is coming to HBO Max. Check it out. They're all in, and I don't think they really care that much about the video game division, so they're looking to sell that off. You have any thoughts about this before I go on any further? Because I got more to say about that.
Yeah, I see. Like the total debt you've got listed is 165 billion.
Yeah,
and they're wanting to sell for 4 billion. So that just furthers my thinking that they want to make sure they keep all the licensing, all those rights and stuff, so that when they sell off the gaming department, they will be getting all that revenue back without putting any of the cost into making games.
Yeah.
Right. So every time they make a Batman game, every time they make a Mortal Kombat game, every time they make a Lord of the Rings game, every time they make a Lego game, they're getting free money essentially. On top of that, that's what I'm thinking. That's the way they have to have this set up, right?
Well, that's another point I wanted to bring up, because the same thing happened with Disney bought LucasArts. So when they bought LucasArts, there was a Lucas video game division that was making Star Wars video games. Once they sold that studio dissolved, which is probably what's going to happen to these. If they sell this to EA, it's just going to be EA. And these will be subdivisions under EA or Activision or Blizzard to take two. EA makes Star Wars video games. They just sell the licensing, and that's probably what's going to happen. These studios get sold. Is Mortal Kombat and DC games are now just going to be licensed out to whoever. Like you're saying, they're not going to put any more investment into development and production. They're just going to say, oh, EA, you want to make a Superman or Batman game? Here's the license to it. So I agree. That's what I think. They're probably looking at the same way. They're looking at the past, and they're looking at what Disney did when they bought LucasArts and the Lucas video game division. I don't know if it's called LucasArts or not, but yeah, they're probably looking at that, and they're going to do the same thing. Once this happens, if this does go through, then yeah, you're going to be seeing whoever buys these studios, or probably even another studio. They could sell it to Sony, because it's the same. Like Sony did it with Marvel, or Disney did it with Marvel. After they bought they just licensed stuff out so other people can make it. They don't own a video game division that's making the Avengers game. So anyone that heard this news and you're worried, like, oh, what's going to happen to Mortal Kombat or Injustice, there are still hiring listings with Nether Realms, and there's though the next sequels to Mortal Kombat and Injustice are already in productions. And we're going to get into this a little bit later, I think, but WB and Rocksteady are already rumored to be announcing their stuff at Fandom.
Right.
And that's where I want to go to next. So number 3, these studios, WB Montreal and Rocksteady Games, have been quiet for a long time. We know they've been working on something. Here's the rumor. Gotham Knights and Suicide Squad are the games that they're making next. And what is this based on? We're going to go down a rabbit hole a little bit. People have licensed the websites for SuicideSquadGame.com, Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League.com, and GothamKnights.com. This was pointed out through a domain registered as Mark Monitor Inc., which was also registered to WB.com games. So the domain that registered these is under WBGames.com. So this isn't like some dude is like, oh, look what happened. No, this is under WBGames.com. This is under that subdomain. There were also rumors that there was a suicide game being made by WB Montreal. Maybe Rocksteady wanted to pick that up.
Yeah.
Studio pointing out that for WB also pointed out they were going to do a Court of Owls because they had all those teasers. So this falls kind of in line with what they're doing. Dill, I know you're not a big, gamer or anything like that, but what is your thought on the next games being a Court of Owls focused storyline and a Suicide Squad focused storyline?
Well, with the Suicide Squad, that's what we were talking about last podcast, right? That was the game I was really interested in doing. With how you set up different play styles for say 5 different characters that you have to learn through several missions, right? And swap between them, right?
Right.
I would like that's really interesting to me. It's a huge draw to me. Now, whereas what I want it to be versus the Justice League, I wouldn't really want that, but I guess I'd take it, right?
Well, I think that was the rumor. Like back after Arkham Knight, the second game. No,
Yeah.
Arkham City.
Origins.
Arkham City. After Arkham City, Rockstar was rumored to be working on a Justice League game.
Huh.
And they were asked about that, and they declined to comment, and they were asked about a Superman game, and I got this pulled up. And they said, we think Superman is an interesting character, and he's a great character, but a difficult character to make games for. If you're Batman, you feel vulnerable. And when you're vulnerable, overcoming obstacles is a great achievement and something that gives you power, makes you feel powerful as a gamer. But as Superman, we don't know how that's possible. I take umbrage with this because I've had several ideas about this. Have some Red Sun stuff. Have just powerful enemies. Have Brainiac capture Metropolis and he's in the bottle. There's ways to do it, but I get what they're saying. There's this perception that Superman's so strong, he's a god.
I'd probably say it's my favorite moment in Man of Steel. It's when the World Engine tosses Superman under its beam. That's exactly what you're talking about. Like where you feel like Superman is at his most vulnerable. He's at his most likely to just be demolished, right?
Yeah.
And then somehow he just barely pushes through it. So you can do that. You can do that without even needing, Red Sun, Kryptonite, and stuff like this. Give them powerful villains to go up against. Give them powerful obstacles.
Yeah.
Now, how do you build that in your video game setting and balance it is a challenge, of course. I don't think it's beyond the realm of doability.
Unless you wanted to look at the Superman animated series.
Yeah.
Because they depowered him. When I say that, it's kind of a joke because he's not real. There's nothing to base his power off of.
Yeah.
But yeah, they made him where, like, I think it was a 50 cal shot him and he was like, ow. So
you,
I don't have a problem with that. Like,
yeah, you
take
can
his
do that.
power level down.
You can do that exactly how the Superman the animated series did that, where he wasn't technically weak. It's just that he was so used to operating at that level.
Yeah,
That he could go like beyond that and be like Uber Superman,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
But he's
But
so used to having to operate at this smaller level that say a 50 cal knocks him off his feet, doesn't expect it, right? Or
yeah.
Batman flips him over his shoulder because he doesn't expect this human dude to do that to him, right?
But to get back on track, I think that's why they may have chosen to go with the Suicide Squad, and that was my whole point in bringing up the Justice League. Is the Justice League characters are so powerful, a lot of people consider them gods. You've
And
known me
so,
long enough to know
yeah,
that I take exception to people saying that DC characters are gods.
yeah, they in Marvel are human, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Such an
To me,
odd,
there's because
weird way to look at it.
one of the people on the Avengers is an actual god. So, but anyways, yeah. So I think maybe that's what they did it so they could like make it easier to develop for, and instead of an Amazon with a lasso, you have a clown girl with a bat.
Yeah,
Instead of a guy that has a magic ring that can do anything he wants, you have a guy with two guns.
hmm
Instead of the most brilliant detective fighting person on the face of the planet, you have a dude with boomerangs.
I
You
was gonna
know,
say,
yeah, that's probably the reason that they did it is just to if like I said that quote that I read earlier, if that's their thinking is to make it more vulnerable, it makes sense why they would go that route.
yeah. And with this Batman Court of Owls, I really like that because I think you can go super atmospheric with
Yeah.
that story, and so it can feel one of my favorite parts of playing the Arkham games is when it gets that just horror and drenching
Well,
atmosphere.
if you that storyline, he's kind of over his head.
Yeah,
Like he gets his ass beat and nearly dies and has to escape. Like Scott Snyder wrote that in a
it,
perception that Batman is not the top of the food chain in this one.
he literally has to go and lick his wounds.
Yep. Yeah. So being overwhelmed, especially when the city's against you, there's all these people. I thought it was a good story. I like how he like we were just talked about. He was overpowered in that, and he like you said, he had to go lick his wounds. He had to learn from that. He was like, oh, I've been doing this for a while, and I just you know got my
And
ass handed
I
to me.
like how it's also not just the physical aspect of it, but it's the mental detective aspect of it because
Hmm.
he had previously, looked into the Court of Owls, never found any evidence on him, started off the
Yep.
that story not believing in him at all again, and just humors people by looking into him
Yep.
before getting dragged into it. Yeah, so there's like he's mentally out of his league, he's
Yep.
physically out of his league in this
I'm
story.
curious to see how they do it because I would
I,
say between Rocksteady and WB Montreal's the weaker of the two, but they still made a
yeah.
solid game with Origins.
I say lean into that horror aspect. Look into Bioshock and Resident Evil and how they just let you walk around in an environment for a while before you have encounters.
Yep.
Just if you do that and add like the rich mythology of it, where you find all this stuff, you read up on them as you get into the game, and I feel like if you just stick to that aesthetic and then have a decent fighting combat aspect to it as well, you'll have a
Mm-hmm.
solid game.
Yep. All right. Number 4. So DC signs scripted podcast stories deal with Spotify. So Spotify will now be an exclusive place to hear some of these like old timey radio broadcasts featuring DC characters. What is this about? Well, so Spotify recently signed podcaster Joe Rogan to an exclusivity deal for $100 million because they're trying to expand their footprint and be the dominant factor. Kind of like SiriusXM did that like 10, 15 years ago. They signed Howard Stern to be like, oh, radio is dead. Now it's satellite radio.
Yeah, I remember
And now,
that
now all radio is dead, satellite or whatever. It's all podcasting, and Spotify wants to be known for that. So they've signed a deal with Joe Rogan, and then they signed a deal, which we don't know the numbers for DC to have radio dramas. So this will be like Superman, Batman. We don't know what perspective this is going to be from. Personally, I would still like it to be from that, like we talked about last time, that horror thing of the person on the street who doesn't know the Batman is real or not, or he doesn't know what's happening with Justice League Dark. He's just freaked out, and all those characters come into play, and you recognize that as a fan. But the character that you follow, I would like to see it, but we don't know what it's going to be from. It may be the whole up, and away.
I mean, what is interesting about this to me is it's almost harkening back to the root of comic books, right? Mm-hmm. You know, the serialized storytelling. You know, that's how the radio, you know, how they did War of the Worlds, or they would do plays, or they would do the Lone Ranger series, right? It'd be like 15, 20 minutes an evening, right?
Yeah.
And you'd pick up the next evening to hear the rest of it, right? It's pretty interesting that it's almost moving back to that. Except, I guess, with this podcast style, it'll probably be, instead of 20 minutes, it'll probably be 2 hours, right?
It may be 2 hours. It may be less. I don't know how long you can make a radio drama for and make it sound interesting. But again, this is not connected to any existing universe. They're going multiverse. Here is another universe. The audio, maybe they're just like, hey, Marvel isn't doing this. Let's just do it. I don't know where they're going. I don't know what the interest will be in this. But I think if you're a DC fan and you have a commute, whether it be you're driving or you're taking public transportation or an Uber or whatever, this might be a good chance for you to get in your DC content. Just without, you don't have to watch it. You just put your earphones in, you stare out the window, and it's everything's in your mind.
Mm-hmm. It might be smart to do like episodically, 20, 30 minutes, and then have when all the episodes have aired, then have a full version, right?
Yeah. Yeah, who knows? I'm not sure. I don't know how they're going to do this. I'm interested to see how it's going to be, because to me, I still just think of the 40s serials of, well, this looks like a job for Superman. Because I had my dad, I don't know where he got them. We had this old record player, and there were all these old records of the Superman serials, radio shows. So I used to pull those out and listen to them, and it was be like, wow, Lois, I don't know what that's going to happen with that fire over there, but I have to go take care of brushing my teeth right now. So it was corny stuff, and it was like, this looks like a job for Superman. Because it was the same guy, he would just change his voice.
Yeah.
And it was corny, but I loved it. I love listening to those old records. I don't know where those came from, but it was great. And then it was like, up, and away. As he took off and flew. But I don't know how they're going to do it with the rest of the characters. Go ahead.
Punctuate it with drink your Ovaltine.
Yeah. You could do it like that. The Christmas Story, go get your sell some rings. Here's your code ring. Drink more Ovaltine.
I would be very interested in having that old 40s and 50s aesthetic to a couple of them. Not the entirety of their
Yeah.
slew of podcasts, but like have a few of them that just harken back to that old radio aesthetic.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be really interesting to do.
Oh no, Batman, you got me cornered. Yeah, see, it's curtains for you, Two Face. It's curtains, curtains. You see, you could do it like that. All right,
Right.
number 5.
Wait,
Tenet.
hold up, hold
What?
up.
Hold up.
One more thing. Is this how DC Daily will be brought back?
I doubt it. I doubt it. Oh,
Poor
man.
Hector Navarro. He's
Yeah.
in search for another job now.
Good. Anyways, number 5. Tenet shows just how much power Christopher Nolan has over WB. You wrote some of this, so you want to go ahead and go through it right there, Dill?
Yeah, sure. For perspective, Tenet is moved 2 weeks from its original date. It's moved to July 31st. Now, Wonder Woman 84 has moved from August 14th to October 2nd, a little more than a month. Godzilla vs. Kong moved from November 20th to May of next year. And the new Matrix movie moved a whole year as well, moved from 2021 to 2022. So there's some big changes
13
going
months.
on. Yet,
13 months.
Yeah. It moved
Or no,
from
no, oh, 11,
11 months. Yeah, it moved from May 21st to April 4th,
Okay.
which, yeah. So the New York Times has reported that there is there's a disagreement between Nolan and Warner Brothers over the release date. And the studio wanted to push it much later, but Nolan held to the original date, and they compromised on a 2-week delay. But it was described as a fraught moment, and Warner Brothers chose to keep their proven moneymaker happy. So it seems like Christopher Nolan's put his foot down and said it's coming out in July, and Warner Brothers bowed down to him and said okay.
Yeah. Well, I also have a line of thinking is you don't want to open up with a movie you need to make money on because you don't know how people are going to line up to the theaters. So bringing back Inception, I think, is a great idea.
Yeah.
Because that's what's coming out now. So you have these weeks to gauge how people are showing up to say, okay, Nolan, here's what's going on. People are showing up normal. They are excited to come back and see the movies again. Let's get this out there.
Right. They're putting Inception out there. They put it basically in the slot that Tenet originally was in, right?
Yeah.
And apparently they're working hand in hand with the National Association of Theater Owners, and they're keeping Warner Brothers up to date with all the regulations they got to go through, all the stipulations, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So they're working hand in hand with each other.
Cinemark and AMC are like, we're opening everything up in July. I think that's what's happening right now. I don't know about my favorite one with the recliners. That's the local stuff where they serve you. It's called Sand Hills because that's what they call the area where we live because it's a fucking sand pit. But anyway, I'll have to look and see what they're doing. If they're opening up, I've got my masks, whatever the requirements are. I'm going to go see Tenet if they're open.
Yeah. And I want to say there are a couple smaller movies that are still slated to come out in July ahead of Tenet. But again, they're not going to be a big gauge for a tentpole. Inception, however, I think is going to help out a lot in seeing how how feasible it is, because it's still in a safety zone. Hey, Inception isn't doing anything right now. We should probably still push it back some more. So they still have this safety net where they can go back. But I think you hit the head on the nail that Inception is their like little testing ground.
Yeah, they want to see if people are tentative about it or not. They want to see if people come back. They want to see if there's another spike, especially after all the current climate. We don't want to get into. Yeah.
Seeing how that news is getting out so quick too, if any COVID outbreak is spiked up due to theaters,
Mm-hmm.
You'll probably see that in that 2 week period before tenant drops. So that gives them a little time to adjust for that.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So we're looking at it. We're going to see how it is. I'll report back with you guys my experience. I'm going to go.
On the sand hills.
There's the Sand Hills and there's the bigger AMC. I'm going to try to go to both of them to see what the different experience is from the local one that I like to the bigger one with the IMAX. I'm going to see if they both open. If they don't, there's another AMC that's not that much further away and try to get a comparison and report back what was my experience here in North Carolina. I can't speak for everyone across the planet,
Yeah.
but I can speak what it was for me here in North Carolina. But here in North Carolina, people are like, take your mask and shove them up your ass, even though I still wear mine. I still wear mine because scientifically it's proven that it does do something. So I still wear mine. A lot of people are like, no, we're not going to wear it. Whatever. I just have to do what I have to do and tell you guys what I experienced. That's all I know.
Yeah, I just had to wear a mask for 2 weeks straight. So yeah,
Yeah.
in confined space with other people.
Yep. All right. Number 6. And this is something that I can't agree with more, having worked in this same thing, is Ewan McGregor says the Obi-Wan series will use the same StarCraft, which are the LED screens to recreate backgrounds instead of a green screen.
Right.
So they're not going to use a green screen. They're going to use those big, huge sets to project the background as they film. And it uses the same technology as VR that tracks the camera position to make sure that the background and focusing and line of distance is the same. And one of the reasons I agree with that, one of the reasons I think this is where a lot of these studios need to start building these things,
Yeah.
is because when you do a green screen, you get bounce back green light.
Yes.
So now your illustrators, not only do they have to make the background, they have to remove that stuff from the actors.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize too that they'll take these silver balls essentially, and they'll put them around the studio and take pictures and stuff. And they use these silver balls so that they can see how light is warping around this ball, and how in the computer they need to when they design these, what's going to be in the place of the green screen, so that they can get the proper lighting for everything, right? Now with these LEDs, you get the lighting there on the set.
Yeah.
It's a desert. You get desert lighting off these LEDs. It's a winter landscape. You get the winter landscape lighting off these LEDs. So it just streamlines that entire process, right?
There's like some minor touch-ups that you have to do.
Yeah.
The whole thing of making an LED studio, I think, is great, and I think more people need to be doing this. I can't believe that a TV show, and not a movie, has wraparound LED. Like you said, the lighting, they don't need the silver ball. The lighting's already there. It's so much less work. It's so much faster.
And it's so much better for, number one, your actors who are on set believing that they're in this world. And number two, the positioning of the camera.
Yeah. Yeah, because it tracks the camera position and aligns everything with what it's trying to shoot. Mm-hmm. Like, you would never known that. Like, when I watched The Mandalorian, I was like, man, they spent a lot of time building those sets. And then when I watched how they made it, I was like, they didn't build any sets.
Yeah. I've always seen, Hollywood used to have the, gigantic matte paintings, right, to fill out backgrounds and stuff. But there's ways that you could work around and like puppeteer stuff within the matte painting, have little cutouts to make it look like there's living stuff going on in the matte painting. But it's very hard to do. There's not much you can do with the camera on a matte painting.
Yeah.
But so that's when you started moving to blue screen and green screen, and you put it all in post, right? Well, now that you got this, you've got all the on-set advantage of a matte painting, right?
Yeah.
With all of the openness that the green screen allows you. It's like it's just bridging the gap between those two.
Yeah, yeah. It's like I remember my stepdad when I was a kid. He asked me, "Well, now like it was Jurassic Park. We went and watched Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
It's like one of my first movies seen as a kid." And he was like, "Well, now they got all this. What do you think's going to be?" Because I'm like, holograms. Like, what else could you do?
Yeah.
And we're almost there because now we have the LED environment.
Yeah.
So,
Uh, I want I want to say like the first time I was introduced to this, it wasn't actually The Mandalorian. Did you ever watch Oblivion with Tom Cruise, Morgan Freeman?
yes, and they used it in that.
Yeah, they used it in that.
It was like
Did
the outside shots of their observatory.
yeah, that tower base that they're in.
Yeah.
All of that was these LED lights, right? So essentially, what it is, they take a panoramic video of a landscape, so that you'll have moving clouds, you'll have the sun is in its arc, whatever it is. So you basically it's not like a still image where if you look at it long enough, you realize, hey, that cloud has never moved, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You get the movement. If it's a desert environment, you get tumbleweeds and stuff. You get the wind moving sand. So it's a very immersive. Uh, I don't know. It's a very immersive extension to the set, and I'm surprised it hasn't made it into films yet. No, like major films yet, because it seems like once you get the base pay of the LED lights.
It like we brought up before when these film experts brought up of why is a movie costing this much.
Yeah, I was wanting to bring up this. Yeah,
Yeah, that maybe factor into it.
Because like
I'm also, you know what I'm also immersed into is small dog barking. I'm really immersed.
you hear that Chihuahua go.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got some neighbor dogs that he's interested in.
No,
well, yeah.
Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, there is going to be an upset Chihuahua
well,
in the recording of this.
Yeah, so it makes me think that Hollywood studios are going to bring back, more studio rooms. You know how they've kind of given all that over to TV, right?
Yeah.
Your
Like we
major
were
studio.
saying before with MVB's question of will studio spending get smaller?
Yeah.
I think it will, and I think these are one of the innovations that will lead to that.
Exactly. You have like a few studio rooms with these lightings in it. You can have like entire different landscapes covered in like a 20 by 20 room, and it feels like you're in a entire mountain area or an entire desert.
When Superman flies, you don't have to have an off-color blue so you can color correct it from all the green screen bouncing up. You just have it the blue that it needs to be, and all they need to do is some minor tweaks to remove the rigging so he just and the cape to show him flying. That's what you need to do.
Yeah, I feel like this is the next big step in VFX.
Yeah.
And it's not even really VFX.
Yeah. All right. Next, number 7. We're number 7, right? All right.
Yes.
Warner Brothers is teasing some movie announcements in September. So, allegedly, this is a report, Tenet is going to have a promo for several films slated for theaters, which will be attached to its theatrical run. On their Instagram, you wanna go through this list here? I think you wrote this.
Yeah. So on Warner Brother Entertainment's official Instagram, they put out 3 clips hyping up different films, all ending with September, right? As in more to be disclosed in September, right?
Allegedly.
There's going to be a big event in September that's going to.
Which is weird because they've got the August one, so they're going to have August and September. So WB's just going to own 2 months.
They're owning the fall, man, or late summer. Well, so the first one that they put out was like the CGI map, the classic Lord of the Rings going over a map, right? And it's the map from the Goonies. And you get the classic dialogue from the Goonies, and you get the "Hey, you guys," right? And it ends with September. Then the second one they put out was the closing shot of Sherlock Holmes: A Game of Shadows, except instead of Sherlock typing a question mark on the end, he types September, right? And then the third one was Michael Keaton, Beetlejuice, 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 and then September. So like, what is going on? Are they hyping up that they're going to get? Are these three films getting sequels? I know there's been a lot of talk about Sherlock Holmes over the years. There's been so much discussion on whether or not they were going to do a Goonies 2. And I know there's been a little bit about a Beetlejuice sequel, but is that the case, or some of these getting rebooted, or is there going to be a reboot of Beetlejuice, reboot of Goonies, or are they re-releasing them to the theater? I don't know. Yeah. I really hope for a Sherlock Holmes 3. I've been wanting for that for years.
Yeah, ever since like you saw his eyeballs pop out of the wallpaper or whatever he was doing.
When he's in that chair, right? Yeah.
Yeah, he's trying to blend in. He's like, and then you see he's blending in there. Yeah, you thought he was dead. So, I guess that was one of the greatest villains.
Yeah, I love how they sneak in him taking that that oxygen breathing tank.
Yeah,
they sneaking that out, and then when you think about, he must have used that when he jumped off the Alps, right?
Yep. So yeah, so you have that, and then you have the Beetlejuice, which has been rumored for a while, and you have
this is who Michael Keaton is actually playing in the Flash movie.
Yeah. He's playing Beetlejuice. That'd be great. If he just shows up and is like, just like he's been in the Beetlejuice movies.
He's gonna help Flash fix the timeline.
Yeah.
He's no longer a ghost exterminator.
I could help you out, but you got to say my name 3 times.
Hey,
yeah.
With Ezra Miller the way he is, I might actually try to marry Ezra Miller at the end of the movie.
Yeah. So is this 3 different movies, 3 different sequels?
Yeah.
There's been a rumor of a Goonies reboot. It was a reboot / sequel. It's set in the same universe, but it's doing the same tropes over again. I've heard that.
Yeah.
Sherlock Holmes, we've talked about that. We both wanted it. There's been rumors it's going to be a 3. And Beetlejuice, there was some recent rumors it's Beetlejuice 2, which I think that's like way too long overdue. So why would you even want to do it? I mean, Beetlejuice was popular in the 90s. I remember a cartoon, I think, and I had some Beetlejuice toys when I was a kid. When was that? Let me look that up. But yeah, go ahead. What's your thoughts? What do you think this is going to be?
I wouldn't be surprised if Warner Brothers is simply re-releasing. I mean, when it comes to Goonies and Beetlejuice, because they have some slots to fill. Essentially, they've moved several movies to next year. So why not? If Inception re-released to theaters is doing well, why not release some of these movies, right? But I do think there is a bit more going on to it too. As you said, the kids of the Goonies are going after to find the the pirate ship, right? I've heard that was a rumor for a while. I really wouldn't want that. If it's a generational thing again, it just feels like repeating the first movie's setup. If anything, I'd want to see the adult cast do something rather than their kids doing something, right?
Yeah, I don't know if you could get the adult cast together. I think that's the problem.
Well, they got together for a Skype call.
Yeah, we'll see.
Know.
I don't know either. So we'll see about that.
But yeah, I would say safest bet right now is re-release for the fall and winter months in the
Yeah,
theater.
yeah.
That would be your
That's
safest bet.
it's not a bad bet either. All right. So now comes to the part of the show where we get on to the final thoughts, concerns, questions, or ideas from the audience, people that are listening. Anyone, like I said, you go to mcmdebates.com. These are more of the member type comments. So if you're a casual listener and you don't want to listen to this, if you're not here for just member only content, you should probably click away. But you're always welcome to listen. So,
All right.
first question is from the member, Do You Feel in Charge? Podcast question. Hey, Chewbacca's. Talking to us, we're Chewbacca's. If you were making a Justice League movie now or another decade, who would you cast as the Big Seven? How would Batman find himself in prison in your iteration? I was told by a few people on Tuesday you would answer this. Okay. You want to go ahead?
Yes, I would wait 10 to 15 years and a grown-up cast of Stranger Things to do this. No, but for real, I put a lot of thought into this, and I've come down to Timothy Oliphant as Superman, Emily Blunt as Wonder Woman, scarred up face, Russell Crowe as Aquaman with a hook hand, Matthew Fox as Bruce, age him up, have him crippled with arthritis and old injuries, and then here's the thing: the rest of the cast would be the newcomers, so it'd be like a legacy film, right? So you bring in Dylan O'Brien as the Dick Grayson, he's transitioning into Batman. Then Callum Worthy as Wally West, Anna De Armas as Jessica Cruz, and John Boyega as Cyborg. You'd have both Barry and Hal died in previous events, and I would say get Barry Pepper and Cole Hauser to play them cameos them respectively, right? And I guess I would say for a villain, somebody not a huge physical threat, make it like somebody like Maxwell Lord, and you can attack the idea of the Justice League, and that'll help go with the theme of legacy, right? And like say have the Royal Flush in as an early mission for them to complete. That would be mine.
Mine would be using the current cast, people that were used from 2017, and retcon to adapt the New 52 invasion, where Superman and Batman first met. Or
so 15 foot tall Darkseid, right?
yeah, 15-foot tall Darkseid. I would just do that. I mean, I don't know. I just want to see the cast we have right now do something that wasn't in line to be done.
Yeah, it was very tough of me to not do Henry Cavill as Superman and
Yeah.
all those guys, Ray Fisher as Cyborg. It
Yeah,
was hard for me not to do that.
that's all I want to see is those guys gel in a whole movie and not for like, okay, we're gonna have the Snyder cut, and the Snyder cut's gonna have them actually be the Justice League in the final like 20 minutes of the movie. Can we get a whole movie with them as the Justice League? That's what I'm asking for. That's what I want to see, and it's not Nightmare.
Yeah.
They're actually. I want to see them actually as the Justice League, doing Justice League stuff, fighting Darkseid. And
Right.
there was this whole thing like Harish posted, "Oh, this is what they're gonna do." I researched that, and I found no evidence to conclude that was what was going to happen. So I don't believe there was a plan to do a Justice League, actually Justice League. Anyways, let's go to the next question. MVB wants to know if we can get Chris Bagley,
Bagel.
Bagel, former owner of Batman News on the podcast. Can't I doubt it?
I would love to have him though.
Yeah, I'd love to have him, but I doubt it. Dude's so pretentious. He wouldn't come on.
He's too good for us, man. He's got his Corvette.
Yeah, he's got a Corvette. All right, next question. MVB, up and coming actors. Who are some of your favorite up and coming actors? Dill?
Um, yeah, I would say Cameron Monaghan. I really like his career so far. Alex Wolff from Hereditary, My Friend Dahmer, and which I thought of him and I realized, Alex Ross Lynch on My Friend Dahmer was really good in that movie, so I guess I'd throw him in there too. And then Anya Taylor-Joy, she's on The Witch, Split, and Glass. These are the three I would say right now. And NVB, he mentioned Ty Sheridan and told us to check out The Night Clerk, and it made me remember Scout's Guide to the Zombie Universe. I mean, no, the Zombie Apocalypse. Sorry. I wonder if MVB's seen that. It's got Ty Sheridan in it.
Yeah. The only is Julia Garner from the Ozarks.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, she's good, man.
That's the only one I can think of. Like I don't really pay attention to that. I just notable people from what I've seen, and I'm not a big like, oh, who are these actors that are coming up? I don't pay attention to that.
Yeah.
But that's like, if you're going to talk to me about a young actress that I've seen that I was really impressed with, it was her. Sophia Holbes that played Charlotte. She's okay, but I think Julia Garner is probably the bigger one. Out of like a younger actor that I don't know where she could go in the future, because I don't know what she sounds like in reality, and she also has a look that I think is more grounded to TV shows. But as far as standout I'm just saying. Trying to be honest. I mean, she's no Sandra Bullock. But as far as performance, as far as quality actress, I would say yes. As far as the stereotype of what you would see in Hollywood, I would say no. I mean, is that wrong for me to say? That's what it said. Get over it. All right. NVB just said, the Batman. Will the Batman be more grounded in reality than Christopher Nolan's Batman movie? I have no clue. What do you think? We don't know. I don't think there's enough to see.
Yeah, I'd wait till a teaser or trailer come out before I'd speak on that, because it could go either way.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the bat cycle, and he's got the bat.
So far, his suit and his bat cycle, right, are more grounded. So far in that case,
I was going to disagree.
You were going to disagree with that?
I was going to disagree that his suit was, but his vehicles weren't.
Oh, really?
Because the Nolan trilogy had a fucking tank, and there's nothing that's going to stop a tank. He had a tank with these wheels that you shot them and they still stayed inflated because they had whatever. You saw the technology on there. You couldn't stop them. He had this cycle that was this thing. The cycle that he has, knowing what I know, and for anyone that doesn't know, I've ridden motorcycles for a long time. I used to race motocross. Hello, doggy.
Yeah, you might have to pause it.
Okay. All right. I don't know where to lead off, so I'll just say, and I'm going to disagree with you on the realism thing, because I used to race motocross. I ride motorcycles now. And from what I see from his motorcycle, I'm not sure I would say the Nolan motorcycle is makes more sense. I'll say that. It makes more sense than the one that I've seen. I'm not sure what's going on with the big tires. I'm not sure what's going on. The engine looks like a boxer engine. If you don't know what a boxer engine is, the engine pistons on most motorcycles go up and down. Like if in your car, it's a V, so they're facing up.
Yeah.
A boxer engine means they're parallel and they're kind of punching opposite directions. That's kind of what it looks like, and that's like the motorcycle I have is a BMW. It has a boxer engine. It looks like that, but I think it was just made to look like that. I don't know why it has a fat rear tire and a skinny front tire. That makes no sense. It made sense in the Nolan when it was both that because it came off of that tank. It was the front two tires.
I want to say that both of those tires, for the Nolan Bat Pod, both had an engine in it that were synced up.
Yeah, they did. They did. I remember that. They did. I don't know what the deal is for this. To me, it looks like a motorcycle that makes no sense. That no motorcyclist would be like, yeah, I want to ride that. Because, I mean, it doesn't look like something that's going to handle that well. And then
what do you think about the car?
Well, that's my next point. The car looks cool as fuck. And looks, I think, was put over practicality.
Practicality.
Okay. Yeah, what you would want to have if you were a crime fighter trying to evade the police. You wouldn't want that car. You wouldn't want something with chrome and red lights blaring everywhere. Because we saw with a Tumbler, he shut the lights off and the cops were like, where the fuck did he go? Because it was blacked out.
Yeah.
That thing is, you shut the lights off, you still see it because it's shiny as fuck. So you have that, and not only that, the Tumbler, you could shoot it because it had armored skin. You could shoot it anywhere and nothing would happen. That thing, I take a .22 pistol and I shoot it in the rear, and it's not going anywhere. So I don't know. I think this is going to be a kind of an homage, a more realistic homage of the 60s Batman. Is in it's not going to be goofy, but there's going to be some outlandish stuff in it that is not going to make sense in our reality, but will in a comic book movie. To me, in my opinion, this movie is going to give some kind of nod to the 66 Batman with the vehicles, and there's going to be some kind of ridiculous stuff. But it's not going to be in an outlandish way. It's still going to be grounded, but not in a Nolan grounded way. It's going to be grounded in we're just not going to acknowledge the ridiculousness of some of the things happening. So I think it's going to be like if you took 66 Batman and you took Nolan Batman and you mashed them together and tried to make it fit in the real world as much as you could. I think that's what we're going to get. It's going to be
I could see it. I could see it having a similar aesthetic as, say, John Wick 2 and 3.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where it's, it seems realistic on one surface level, and then you look at it the other way, it's like, well, this is pretty outlandish and mythologized as well.
Yeah.
But it marries the two pretty decently,
Yep. So that's my opinion. All right, last question. Here we go. Wrapping up the podcast. NVB.
Nolan Virgin Bitch.
Nolan Virgin Bitch. Movies 2020. Will Tenet be the only movie released in theaters this year now?
No, Inception's being released this year.
Yeah. Inception's already out. Yeah. We already know that. So as far as let's say 20 movies that were supposed to be released in 2020, yeah. There was a subject that I deleted that was like Disney has sunk so much advertising into Mulan being released that they have to release it.
Yeah, like essentially they will have to start up a whole new marketing campaign if
Yep.
they don't release it.
Yep.
Yeah, because they were set to release in March,
Yep.
and
And
they
they
were so they were
spent all
close to
the
the end game of, and now they got to revamp that.
yeah, they were all that stuff happened in January and February. Hey, Mulan's coming, then COVID-19 hit, and it's like, oh,
Go Void.
yep, COVID-19 hit, and they're like, oh, no, mate, not gonna happen. Yeah, nah.
Yeah.
So they've already invested a lot of money in this. And Tenet, like the subject was Mulan spent all this money, but Tenet didn't. What have we got from Tenet? We got like 2 trailers or something.
Yeah, and it's I kind of noticed that with Interstellar, is that Christopher Nolan's movies have a very, very streamlined, very direct way of marketing. They don't. It doesn't get caught up in all the, ice cream, little all that little side stuff and that. It'll give you 2 trailers, maybe a teaser, and that's it. And they'll ramp you up with just that stuff.
Yep.
And so, and with Tenet, hadn't even got to the major push until after COVID hit,
Yep. And it
So,
was real slow and just like a couple YouTube releases after that.
Yeah, they've lost nothing, and yet they've done less, and yet they have a bigger presence than most any other film that's supposed to be coming out this year.
Yep. I agree. See, I think they're in a better spot. We're gonna see. We're gonna see when it comes out. I think they're gonna hold on to that month from now release date, which is 31st, about a month and a week from now.
Mm-hmm.
I think they'll hold to it. We'll see. They may move. Like we said, Christopher Nolan's got a lot of power over the studio. He's a moneymaker. They know he's a moneymaker. They don't want to piss off a moneymaker and have him go somewhere else. But where else is he going to go? We don't know. Anyways, so that has been the MCM podcast for this week. I'll try to get this out before Wednesday, maybe on Wednesday. Dill, you got anything you want to say? What are your last words? What do you want to close out with? What do you want to say to everybody?
Well, there might be another reason they're putting Inception out. It's because Inception ties into Tenet.
It's a sequel.
I would be that would be huge if they did do that.
What did somebody say that Inception was the prequel to Batman Returns?
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. It's Inception is going on during the Dark Knight. Didn't you know that?
Yeah, all the Nolan movies are in the same universe.
You're gonna see Leonard show up.
Yeah.
Get Guy Pearce back.
Yeah, I can't wait for Morgan Freeman to come in and talk a bitch about cell phones hacking people. Like, how could you do that, Bruce?
It's like, Bruce, we couldn't stop at hacking a city. Now you have to hack minds.
Yeah.
And change time.
Yeah. All right. So, all right. That's all we got. That's everything. I appreciate everything and everyone listening. All like 50 of you. That's what our average is. We're a little bit over 50 right now.
Nice.
But if you go over to mcmdebates.com, there's plenty of stuff to interact with, to comment on. There's plenty of forums at the bottom of the screen. There's plenty of like new and interesting and satire articles. We're not serious over there. We're lampooning a lot of this superhero stuff, except with our podcast. We're trying to be just factual with that. So just go on to mcmdebates.com. say hello to myself, say hello to Dill, say hello to anybody, or just don't, and just upvote the video and comment below. All right, that's all I've got. Bye-bye.
See ya.